Well, it's not forcing the woman to have a baby live if the baby's already alive. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Semantics.
I got a compromise for you. I got a compromise for you. We'll tell the mother we killed it, but we'll sneak it off and give it to someone else. Does that work for you?
No, because I still think
the baby has to die.
She has the right to do it if she wants to. Of course.
She should kill.
No. We attempted the abortion failed, the baby survived. Is it okay that we put the baby up for adoption? Lance said no, because she has a choice what to do with her body, even though the baby is no longer inside her body. So once again, I ask, after how many months then, after a baby is born, if the mother is still going through postpartum, could she delete the baby? Once the baby is 3 months old, she's still sad. No?
Baby after it's already born?
I don't want her to kill a baby. I want her to
Yes, you do!
Because I want her to have the ability to choose. You were talking about how women, how like disgusted you are that women may have an abortion in the 9th month, right? Or even
a viable baby.
Of a viable baby. And I wanted to scream at that time, being like, women who have abortions in the 9th month, they're not doing that because they got bored, or all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't care anymore. They do that because it's a fucking tragedy. Like statistically, women who are getting abortions in the 9th month, it's because there's a medical complication that could kill them. That's why they have to do it. What do you mean
argument.
False. That's the real world.
I already said viable. Try again.
What are you talking about, Tim?
I already said abortion of viable fetuses at 9 months.
This is ridiculous.
Do you know what viable means?
Yes.
It means the baby can survive on its own without medical complications.
Absolutely.
And why legalize abortion of viable fetuses at 9 months when the baby could just be delivered?
Women are not getting abortions at the 9th month for pleasure or because they want to suddenly do it for kicks. No, that doesn't happen. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy of the highest. Because there are medical operations that could kill the mother and they need to get an abortion.
Why legalize?
I just told you that's the reason why.
So all right, I'll try and break it down for you. Can the baby survive? Let's talk about a baby. The baby can survive on its own, yes?
Sure.
Okay. Abortion is defined by Planned Parenthood and the law as terminating the life of the baby.
Correct.
Why terminate the life of the baby if it can survive on its own?
Because it could kill both of them. That's why it is done at...
If you're terminating a viable baby that is 9 months or a fetus that is 9 months, you're essentially killing a baby. What is the difference between a 9-month fetus, okay, and a baby that was born 1 month prematurely? Well, the difference is 1 month. But the other difference would be one is inside and one is outside. So we're saying it's completely okay for us to just a baby? Like maybe they shouldn't be talking about the 9th month, and maybe Tim is going to make a point on why he chose to talk about 9 months, and maybe because it's an extreme. It's an extreme that is a reality in some states. States like Colorado, you can get an abortion up to 9 months for no reason. You don't need to have any health complications. You don't need to have any type of physical complications. The baby doesn't have to have any type of complications. You're not going to pass away by having the baby. Both are going to be viable, but you're still okay and allowed to have 9-month abortions. So maybe that's what Tim's making a point for. Let's see.
Stage.
So how do you
kill one or the other, and they have to make the tough decision at that point.
So how do you remove the fully formed 9-month baby at that point?
Oh, I don't know the science.
You would still have to essentially give birth, I guess, to the baby. Okay, and I say give birth as in the baby still has to exit the womb. If you're terminating a fetus or a pregnancy at 9 months, you still have to remove the child somehow, remove the baby somehow. As far as I know, there's only 2 ways for a baby to exit a woman's body. Through the hoo-ha, the same way that the baby was created, or through a C-section. There are many women that cannot go through with a natural birth, whether it is because their hips are not wide enough, or in some instances, they didn't fully develop as a woman yet, and they do have to, or smaller frame women even. There are many instances where women will have to go through C-section. So I guess like that's all considered birth, right? So how else? You're still going to have to birth the 9-month fetus. So why kill it if it's viable? Why are we killing it? Why can't we just birth the baby and put the baby up for adoption? Why was that not an option?
I've never performed that operation
So
before.
shouldn't the law then be, if the baby must be removed and it is alive and capable of survival, all actions must be taken to preserve the life of the child and the mother?
I would say they'd probably choose the mother first, right?
No.
And this is such a strange.
Tim said they were both viable. The baby is already outside. So why is Lance forcing a decision? Like, he's forcing a decision that does not have to be made. The baby is outside. The mother and child are both viable. So what are we doing? Like, I'm going to rewind that just to make sure I caught that.
Oh, I don't know the science of it. I've never performed that operation
So
before.
shouldn't the law then be, if the baby must be removed and it is alive and capable of survival, all actions must be taken to preserve the life of the child and the mother?
I would say
And
they'd probably
mother.
choose the mother first, right?
Why?
And this is such a strange scenario. How often do you think that this happens and all of a sudden they're like, the baby could have lived. You could have done it. Why did you choose the other option? It's like, this is a tragedy of the highest order because they want to have the kid. At 9 months pregnant, a woman is on her way to give birth. So it's like, it's the worst possible fucking thing
I'm
that
sorry,
can happen
but
to her.
that's not always, again, I said I didn't want to dogpile,
No,
but
no,
that's,
good,
I mean, it's statistically not true. There have been surveys done on women who had later abortions, and for a pretty large sum of them, it's because they were not sure whether the father of the child was willing to commit, and then when they found out he wasn't willing to commit, they would have the abortion. And so there are different stats.
Which is just purely evil. Okay? If it's done in the way that modern day dating and the way that women interact with men, then I hope it doesn't come from evil, but it sounds like it might. Okay, if a woman finds out that the baby daddy is no longer going to be in the picture, she now no longer wants to have the baby because of the responsibility or financial burden or a multitude of reasons, I'm sure. But did they come together and decide to have a baby? Was this an accidental pregnancy that was an accident on both parties? Or is it in a case where I see so often today, okay, especially on social media or celebrities, where you see these women who are trapping successful men? You saw it with Brittany Renner. You're seeing it with, what is the other one? Drea Mitchell. She, like, is she not pregnant by a 21-year-old right now? One of her kid is 21. Isn't it? Like, we see women trapping men who are successful. And what happened if women are just trapping average men as well? You hear that too. They want a relationship to work, so I'm going to go get pregnant because a baby's going to fix it. Oh, wait. You're not going to stick around? Well, I can't do it by myself. So I guess we're now just going to abort the mission, right?
Defined for different points in pregnancy. When it comes all the way along to 9 months, I don't have the statistical data on that. However, I do know for later term abortions, there are reasons other than what is traditionally considered to be a medically necessary reason. For example, some people will say that a negative mental health outcome is a reason to abort a child later in pregnancy.
So being sad or being depressed is enough. So many women go through postpartum depression. Okay. So this is even like, this is after you already gave birth. Like, being a mother is one of the hardest jobs in the world. Like obviously I'm not a mom, but it's like, I can see my mom, I can see my sisters who have children, my friends who have children, like the sacrifices that they make, the things that their bodies have to go through, the amount of care it takes to raise and nurture a healthy child. Mothers go through so much. So yes, I understand it's a lot of responsibility, but it's going that's what it comes with. So now, because of your feelings, now it's going to be okay. I'm a little sad, I'm a little depressed. So it's okay for me to go through with this.
So if the woman is depressed, they will list that as a reason for why the child had to be terminated to save the life of the mother, which is certainly not the case, very obviously.
Because what
because
what they'll do is just like with the affirmation or affirmative surgeries, but oh, we need to give children the surgeries or else they're going to be sad and off themselves. Oh, these women, we're forcing them to have babies that they don't want to have, even though they laid down and got pregnant and now have carried it on to full term or to a viable state. But now if she has it and goes through with it because she can't financially support it, she's so sad. And because I'm sad, I'm going to off myself. So now that's a reason. Like, get a grip.
Point of what Tim is saying, when we say there's no such,
because honestly, if that's okay, and if I was being too harsh by saying get a grip or whatever, but think about it. I said earlier, some women unfortunately do go through postpartum depression. Times where they're sad with themselves, they're upset with themselves, they're angry at like motherhood. Motherhood is not a joy for every woman. But would we then condone the fact that she's like, hey, I'm going through postpartum depression right now. I didn't know I was going to be like this, so I don't want the baby anymore. Delete it. At what point does that baby or does the father of the baby have a say in whether that baby gets to live? At what point?
Is a medically necessary abortion. The principle behind that is, if there is an operation which is necessary to save the life of the mother, and then she miscarries the child as a result of that operation, which was necessary to save her life, that's not an abortion because
that's
nobody's intent was to go in there and end the life of the unborn child. And so if a woman's having complications where she has to deliver early, you deliver the child early, of course. And if you're at a point in pregnancy where the child isn't viable, that's a horrible tragedy. You still do what you can to save the child, but you can't always save the child, and we understand that. But to go in and rip the child apart to end their life is never something which is medically required, even though an early delivery may be.
But are there situations where if the baby is this is so harsh, in its complete form, that even trying to induce early pregnancy could kill the mother, so they have to break the baby's body apart so that they can get it out without killing the mother?
I've never heard of such a thing. So, and there are letters, by the way, signed by literally thousands of doctors who have said this.
Let me ask. Let me ask.
Can I just say one thing? So 88% of abortions are in the first 12 weeks. 88.
Yeah.
88% of abortions. Less than 1.3% of abortions take place near the 8th or 9th month.
How many abortions
Is that good, Marker?
Well, how many is that?
I don't know the actual numbers. This is the percentages.
13,000.
Okay, but
I was gonna say, is 8 or 9 month a good marker? Because babies can again be born prematurely 6 month, 7 month, and still be viable. So just because 1 or 2% occurs during the 8th or 9th month, what about the other babies? The other 10%? Because he said 80 some odd percent was before the first 16 weeks. So that means there's a dozen of percentages left. Yeah. 1 to 2 in 8-9 months. So that means there's like at least another 10%, 9 to 10% of babies that are like within that 16 week to 8-9 month period. So that's another 20 week. That's a second trimester. What are the datas on that? Like, those babies are okay though to not have around anymore. Is that called ageism? Like, like when companies don't hire people because they're too old and they're about to retire, or you don't hire women that are of, childbearing age because you're about to have to pay for maternity. Is this ageism? Where we are discriminating the rights of the unborn child by how many months it's inside the mother? Temple tap.
Talking about less than 1.3%.
Hold on, 13,000. That's the number of people who die from gun violence in the U.S. each year that aren't suicides.
Gentlemen,
so that's
I am not
13,000.
here to justify abortion when it happens as in it's Less than 1.3% of abortions take place near the 8th or 9th month.
How many
Is
abortions
that
is
good,
that?
Marker?
Okay, I'm gonna rewind on the stats.
So let me ask. Let me ask.
Wait, can I just say one thing? So 88% of abortions are in the first 12 weeks. 88.
Yeah.
88% of abortions. Less than 1.3% of abortions take place near the 8th or 9th month.
How many
Is
abortions
that good, Marker?
Well, how many is that?
I don't know the actual numbers. This is the percentages.
13,000.
Yeah, so there's
Okay,
still
but
another
we're talking about
10%
less than
floating out there that we're
1.3%.
okay with.
13,000. That's the number of people who die from gun violence in the U.S. each year that aren't suicides.
Gentlemen,
so that's
I am not
13,000.
here to justify abortion when it happens as in it's
But
a
you're
good thing.
no.
I don't celebrate
Brother,
it.
He definitely sounds Lance from the Surf definitely sounds like he was justifying abortion up until the 9-month. Honestly, like I don't know. We're only 4 minutes in, and I don't know if he can change my mind on this, but right now he sounds like one of the people that are just completely okay with 9-month abortions.
saying it doesn't happen.
No.
You're saying
I've
it doesn't
never said
happen.
it doesn't happen.
13,000 times.
I said it's extremely. There is 338 million Americans. I'm sorry. The numbers are going to be a little daunting. Yes, the numbers will be high. I'm not here to
understand.
celebrate
so
I
that.
don't understand your argument then.
My argument is that there's a lot of human
13,000
beings.
people die from guns, we have a problem, right?
If 13,000 people die from guns, we have a problem. Yes, of
If
course.
13,000 late-term abortions happen, is that a problem?
These are completely different things.
Well, how so?
Okay, so if someone dies by a gun, are they being shot? Were they killed? Did they kill themselves? Was it a suicide? Was it a gang violence thing? Who knows?
That's a good question.
Can I clarify? I don't want to argue. I just
Hold
want to
on,
clarify.
I need to answer this.
Well,
In the case
can
of
I
late,
address
yeah,
what you
but
just said?
yes, but in the case of late-term abortions, more often than not, when
I don't argue, I just
hold
want to
on,
clarify.
I need to answer this.
Well,
In the case
can
of
I
late,
address
yeah,
what you
but
just said?
yes, but in the case of late-term abortions, more often than not, when statistics say, and when they are polled, they say the reason that they are giving it is because it's a medical complication that could result in the death of the mother or the child.
Right. So let's. Can we make the argument then that the use of guns on people are allowed?
The use of guns of people are
To end their lives is allowed. Would
so
you
that's
make that
murder. You're describing murder.
So if Colorado, for instance, passes a law saying there is no medical requirement for an abortion, is it wrong to kill the baby?
You're talking about murder the gun to a to make a medical decision that could basically preserve her life.
No.
or-
I said
or death.
not a medical reason. That's what I'm saying.
Should she have the ability to have an abortion for any reason? Yes.
At 9 months.
At 9 months, I would say at 9 months because it only happens according to the stats based on complete medical necessity. She has a right to do it.
No.
She should have a right.
Hold on. Colorado legalized.
Didn't he say earlier that he doesn't support? No. I'm gonna rewind again. Like I feel like I have to keep rewinding because I feel like they're saying one thing and then in the next breath taking it back.
Yes, but in the case of late-term abortions, more often than not, when statistics say, and when they are polled, they say the reason that they are giving it is because it's a medical complication that could result in the death of the mother or the child.
Right. So let's. Can we make the argument then that the use of guns on people are allowed?
The use of guns of people are
To end their lives is allowed.
so that's murder. You're describing murder.
So if Colorado, for instance, passes a law saying there is no medical requirement for an abortion, is it wrong to kill the baby?
You're trying to compare murdering someone with a gun to a woman having to make a medical decision that could basically preserve her life.
No. I said
or death.
not a medical reason. That's what I'm saying.
Should she have the ability to have an abortion for any reason? Yes.
At 9 months.
At 9 months, I would say at 9 months because it only happens according to the stats based on complete medical necessity. She has a right to do it.
No.
She should have a right.
Hold on. Colorado legalized abortion.
Why does he keep adding on medical necessity? Like Tim is literally arguing for late-term abortions of viable pregnancies that have no medical complications. Am I missing something? Like I keep having to rewind it because I feel like they're using, like, there's just so many different ways that I feel like Lance is misconstruing what either Tim is saying or he's just not directly answering what Tim is asking. I'm so confused.
The 9 months with no medical reason required. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that decision, yes.
So the baby could survive on its own, and the mother is legally now allowed to just end its life.
She has the right if she wanted to. You're saying so in Colorado, and
It's not a trick question. You're
I know,
that.
but I'm asking you because you're the one who brought this up. I don't know what Colorado specific law says. So if you were saying that in
He doesn't
Colorado,
know.
women have the ability at 9 months
He
to
doesn't
have
know
an abortion
much
for any
for someone
reason.
talking
They
about
could
it
just
so
decide
much.
that the
Elective,
board.
yeah.
Okay, I think they should have the right to do that, but the stats show that they're not doing that. But they should have a legal right to do that. Yes, it's their body, it's their choice, of course.
So this is what I disagree on. I think if the baby needs to be removed from the woman, there's no reason to kill it. You know what I mean? Like you could just C-section and then put it for adoption.
But I'm telling you that doesn't
C-section.
happen.
But it
does.
But hold on.
Like you might be able to bring up anecdotes, but the stats don't
I didn't.
say that.
But hold
bring up
on.
anecdotes.
Like, why allow it to happen? I just don't understand. Are you arguing? Wait, hold on. Are you arguing you oppose it, and you think it's morally wrong, but you think it should be legal?
I think that women should have the right to decide what they do and have bodily autonomy over their own bodies.
We're not.
I'm very happy that Tim sounds just as confused as I am. So you oppose it, but you want to legalize it, even though you see no reasons for it to happen, but the woman still gets the choice. Again, no reason. Okay, so hear me out, and this is why I have issues with these absolute type of thinkers, right? But let's say you're in a happy relationship, you're married, husband and wife, both married. They're about to have their first child together. The husband is happy. He is excited. They're planning out their entire pregnancy and, doing all of the baby showers and all that good stuff. Okay? And you can't do gender reveals anymore because the baby hasn't came out to identify what gender it is. Anyways, so you're going to have baby showers. You're going to do all of these things, and both parents are happy and willing at this point, right? It's only 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. They're still both happy at the 9 month for no reason, right? Colorado said you don't need a reason. So if that woman's reason was, I don't have one, I don't want this baby anymore, what happens? Daddy still wants the baby. They're in a relationship. Does he not get a say whatsoever in the survival of his offspring, of his child, of his namesake? He doesn't get nothing. Nothing. But let a man that is unknowing of a pregnancy, not involved in the pregnancy, doesn't want to be involved in the pregnancy, but a woman opted to keep the baby. Now he's financially locked down and tied to her for the next 18 years. And the government will support her decision on that. What? Gosh, am I doing mental gymnastics? Am I reaching? Or does the whole her body, her choice thing just does not make sense? And I'm a woman, a cis woman. It's our body. It should be our bodies, as in it's women's bodies, sure. But it wasn't just women's bodies that created the baby that's inside of them, right? That's always their argument for needing the child support. Well, I didn't make this baby alone. I didn't die. I didn't make this baby alone. I didn't lay down by myself. So you need to support me and the baby, right? But now you didn't lay down there and make the baby alone. You couldn't make that baby by yourself. But now you, and only you, get to have a say so. No matter how immoral it is to terminate a 9-month fetus. I don't even know if I'm going to get through this whole conversation in one sitting because, dude, it's like 7 minutes in, and this Lance guy right here is he's just dumb. He said he doesn't know how abortions happen, late-term abortions happen. He keeps referencing the 1.3, 1 point whatever % that happens at 8-9 months. And again, okay, 8-9 months. So what happens? What is the percentage that happen at 4, 5, 6, 7 months? We're okay with those babies not being around either, right?
Talking about her body. We're talking.
It is her body. Of course it is. At 9 months, even if it's still inside her, it's still her body. Even if it's a viable
we're
baby,
talking
it's still her
about the
body.
removal of the
It's
baby.
just
Yes,
her body.
The forceful removal of the baby, or
forceful.
so she chooses to have that. She
The
should have the
woman
right.
says the baby must be removed from my body. Why kill the baby if they're removing it?
I don't think they should do that. I would if
But you think
they
it's
asked
illegal?
me, Lance, should I do this? I would say no, but she should have a right. Yes, of course. It's her body still. That doesn't
listen.
stop.
So, like, the woman is pregnant, the baby is viable and capable of surviving on its own.
Sure.
And she says before it breaches oxygen, kill it. Do you think that should be allowed?
This is again the baby guillotines. This is why I brought that up.
But
what a weird scenario. This doesn't happen. This is not the real world.
But it does.
When?
And if the argument is that it doesn't happen enough for you to care, that's fine. You're allowed to believe that.
Sure.
What I don't understand is it seems like your position is a rather shocked position where you recognize there is something inherently wrong with taking the life of a baby that could survive on its own, but you're also taking the tribal position of women should be allowed to do it anyway.
No. If you were to ask me, Tim, hey, Lance, do you think it's a good idea if this woman who's 9 months pregnant, suddenly she got bored with the pregnancy, she doesn't want to have it anymore, but the baby's viable? Do you think that's a good thing to do? I would be like, no, of course not.
Then why should it be allowed?
Because it's still her right. It's still her body.
But
bodily autonomy doesn't stop at my morality. Tim, it's not my choice.
Right?
It's not my, yes, but that's not my choice.
Why kill it? Why kill it?
That's her choice, not mine.
Why kill the baby?
Ask her. Ask her.
Okay, so my point is simply this. You don't need to be shocked by it. You're allowed to have that moral position. I think most people in America would prescribe that to be, would ascribe evil to that.
Sure, but that's
the
your,
idea
you can ascribe evil to whatever you want. That's up to you. That's your choice.
The idea that you would say
doesn't mean that she should
the woman
legally be
wants
restricted.
the baby removed, and then in the process, instead of letting the baby live, remove it but kill it, right? There's no reason to do that. You can give the baby up for adoption. You can drop the baby off on the doorstep of a post office.
I agree with you. I'm not disputing
so why
that.
legalize? Even if it's one, why legalize? You see, this is the craziest thing.
Because her autonomy should not be cut off based on your morality. Because you don't think that idea is good. You don't like it.
But the baby's been
that's
removed
not where
from
we
her
should
body.
determine it. Well, that's if it was removed from her body and it was still viable, right? And that's where the baby guillotines come in, because I don't think this happens. I don't think women on the 9th month get abortions with viable living children and then be like, I don't want it, kill it. I don't think that happens.
I mean, you don't have to think it happens, but statistically it does, because your entire argument is this.
Yeah, like it happens. Again, it's because baby daddy's not sticking around. I cannot financially support this. This is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's going to, be a detriment to the rest of the family because we cannot financially support this. So for the greater good of all, I now need to have a late-term abortion. Like,
only happens for reasons of the health of the mother or the health of the unborn child.
I said
so you believe it
I
only
said the
happens because
statistics show that at the 9th month, if a woman is going to have an abortion, it's typically because it's a medical complication that could either endanger her or the child's life.
And what I am saying is there are doctors who will justify that by saying the medical complication is she is depressed. That is literally one of the reasons given in surveys. And another reason that is given is that I know the man who I was going to be with.
Okay, but Seamus, I got to stop you because this is a nebulous argument that doesn't get anywhere, and I can respect the point that if you go to if you try and look this up, you're going to find left-wing sources and right-wing sources that will contradict each other. So my question is strictly on the legality of terminating the life of a child. I can sit here and pull up, oh, hey, here's one. Women abort Down syndrome babies late term rather frequently. I think that's wrong. I don't think that someone's life is forfeit because they have Down syndrome. But your argument is that they do.
No, it's not. That's a strong.
No. Your argument is that women have a right to terminate a baby for any reason at any point.
Yes, they should have the bodily autonomy to make that decision.
So what I'm saying is, in the circumstance of Down syndrome,
at any point, for any reason, Down syndrome would fall under both category of any. It's like, what are we defining as medical reasons or medical complications or health complications? Like, that's another question to ask. Like, are we talking about, hey, the baby is going to be born and it has no lungs? The baby never developed lungs, so the baby will never be able to survive on its own and breathe on its own. Okay, I don't know if that's even a real thing, but I can kind of somewhat understand that, yeah, that's a medical thing where the baby is no longer viable. Very sad situation, but I understand. However, if the baby is fully kicking, happy, everything, but maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of mental delay. Is that health condition enough of a reason? Oh, wait, you don't need a reason.
I think it is wrong to terminate a baby's life at 9 months simply for having Down syndrome, but you would agree she is legally allowed to do so.
I think she should be legally allowed to do so. Whether or not I think that's a good idea is irrelevant.
Well, then there's the clarification. I think it should be illegal.
Okay.
I think
so there are limits to how much bodily autonomy women should have.
So
yes,
right.
Yes, when it's no longer just your body. When that baby is not going to stay inside your body forever, right? That is not just your body. Like, this is my arm. My arm will not just, by itself, naturally just fly off. This is my arm. Okay? The baby, even if the mom wants to say it's my body, my body, my body, the baby is not going to stay inside of you past like 10 months, 11 months, 12 months. Oh no, just keep chilling because you're my body. I get to decide what to do with you. No. Your body literally goes through the birthing process. It's your body's timing when the baby typically comes out, unless there is health complications where C-sections are required. Typically, births are not just going to be induced unless, again, it needs to come at a certain time. Like, if like women cannot stay pregnant, like just with the same fetus for 2 years, 3 years. If they wanted to, it's their body. They can choose that. No, but it doesn't happen. Okay? So again, it's no longer your body when it's another human life.
So that's your stance.
The pro-choice argument, because you're pro-abortion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Pro-choice traditionally in this country put limits at around like 15 to 16 weeks, meaning if the baby is dependent upon the body of the mother, then it is the body of the mother and she has final say. If the baby is
Okay, and something that Tim just said is that when typical people who are pro-choice, as in a woman having the ability to choose whether or not she goes through with an abortion or continue to keep the baby, right? They allow up to, typically their stance is 15 to 16 weeks. So they still are okay with you making that choice, okay? If you guys remember earlier, Lance said 80% of abortions occur within the first 12 weeks. So good. That's great. There's the overlap right there. You can still have your abortions up to 15, 16 weeks. But no, you want the full 40 weeks. That's the crazy part. It's like we talk about weeks whenever we're talking about like abortions a lot of times because like they make that number sound, bigger. But then it's like we don't want to actually show how many weeks it truly is when it's at its final form. 40 weeks. Yeah, like we're okay with just full human lives just being.
It can be removed in a process that ends the pregnancy but doesn't end the life of the baby. That's kind of like the compromise where the baby gets to live and the woman no longer has to be pregnant. There seems to be this amoral argument where, but it just kill the baby anyway, which doesn't make any logical sense. That's the pro-abortion side. So if you go back to the 90s, if you go back to safe, legal, rare, et cetera, if you even look at Tulsi Gabbard in 2020, that's where I'm at. Conservatives are pro-life outright. Seamus would argue abortion in any capacity should be banned entirely. I'm in the traditional Democrat position. But you see, there is a tribal, amoral, illogical position of just let them kill the baby regardless. I don't see any logic there. I don't see how that makes sense morally or ethically or just mathematically.
Right. So you said I'm pro-abortion. What I'm against is forced birth. And I don't think the state should be forcing women to give birth against their will, which is what your position.
Well, how's you're pro-abortion, so Tim has to be pro-forced birth? Okay, so how does the 9-month fetus exit the body? Is that not birth? What do we call that? Elimination? Termination? Like, what is the actual process of the exit? Birth. So either way, you're given birth.
And your position is as well. So I'm against that. I think that's creepy big government shit. I don't think they should be forcing them and turning them into these viable wombs against their will.
I completely agree. I'm against forced birth, just like you.
Cool.
Except my difference is that if the baby's at 8 months and can survive, they can take the baby out as if they would have an abortion, but not kill it in the process.
If it's viable at 8 months, is it viable?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is viable at 8 months, dude. There have been babies after 20 weeks.
Bro, your whole position is that women have a right to kill the baby even if they end the pregnancy, and there's no logic there.
The logic is that I don't think you agree with forced birth at a point.
How?
How at 8 months? At 8 months, Tim Pool thinks forced birth is fucking cool and poggy.
Stop making up stupid bullshit.
But
dude.
hold on. That's what this is.
Bro. Nonsense statement. Because I already said I agree with you. A woman should be able to end her pregnancy whenever she wants. A woman could end her pregnancy whenever she wants. Say it. Tim Pool said a woman can end her pregnancy whenever she wants. Stop.
I demand you
aborting
say
and
it.
giving birth are both ending a pregnancy.
Make up something fake. Tim Pool agrees with forced birth is a false statement. You're lying. I have already said I believe that women have a right to terminate their pregnancy up to a certain amount of time.
At 8 months is where you draw the line.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you just said that. If the baby is viable, that she shouldn't have the right to be able to terminate it.
To kill the baby.
Yes.
I said she can end the pregnancy whenever she wants.
And ending the pregnancy can be giving birth or aborting the
or
baby.
a C-section that keeps the baby
so
alive.
she has to be forced to give birth against her will in a C-section, but the baby is viable and they give it
So
off.
how do they remove
So
the
hold
baby?
on.
at 8
Either way, the
months?
baby comes out of her. You're saying
So
that
you literally want forced birth. You literally want to force women to give birth against their will.
Can I just
you're
interject
saying
here?
Yeah.
Can I
You're
just
saying they should use the tools to rip apart the body and pull that out, whereas I'm saying they should just take the baby
I'm saying
out.
she should have the right to decide what happens to her body. That's it.
Okay, but either way, the child is coming out. You're
See,
making this
and
argument
here's
about
another
forced
thing.
birth. Either way, what is in her body is going to be outside.
Tools to rip apart the body and pull that out, whereas I'm saying they should just take the baby
I'm saying
out.
she should have the right to decide what happens to her body. That's it.
Okay, but
Okay. Again, he keeps saying what happens to her body. However, they choose to remove, however she decides to terminate this birth, however she decides to terminate this pregnancy is up to her. So at 9 months, the baby is fully formed. How does an 8-month baby exit your body if you're not naturally giving birth to it, or a C-section, or in a lot of abortion cases, taken apart piece by piece? And Lance says, well, it's her body. But I guess here's a question I have and I don't know who can really answer this, probably the medical community, but who feels the pain when the fetus is being torn apart? Does that mom actually get sensation? Like literally, I'm not talking about like pain as in like you're sad and this was a hard decision, but actual pain. Like, for example, if someone punches me in the face, my mom doesn't get hurt. My face gets hurt because it's my body. Okay? So again, when the baby is being taken apart in order to not birth the baby, so that the baby cannot survive, who feels the pain? Sorry, I'm like getting emotional thinking about that. Like, wow. Like, I've never thought about it like that. Like, I've never even thought about the analogy of getting my face punched. I've never thought about that. And now I'm really curious, like, who feels the pain? Because it's already an evil thing in my mind. So it's like, again, at 9 months, especially, like, it's like, I'm not going to sit here and shame any woman who had to make that hard decision. But what I'm saying is, again, just like other videos or other conversations that I'm having on my channel, I think that there are nuance within every conversation, you know. But my thing is, when people like Lance come on and turn it so that someone that is a little bit more centrist, like Tim, into a far right extremist, right? Tim said, even though he is pro, like, he would not want to go through the abortion process, he can accept the 16 week threshold for when abortions are still legal. Okay? Again, Lance said first 12 weeks is 80% of abortions. So, I mean, like, we're capturing that and then some. Okay? So, Tim's already okay with that. But Lance doesn't want a threshold at all. He's tripping out the fact that Tim is upset with 8 months. Like, bro, what? Like, I am just in shock because a man who doesn't even know how abortions happen, who doesn't even know if a fetus is viable at 8 months, and he's so passionately speaking in front of millions. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, he's from the Serfs, and so he has his own podcast and has a platform. So someone that thinks this extreme, but is so damn ignorant on the whole thing, blows my mind.
All right. Either way, the child is coming out. You're making this argument about forced birth. Either way, what is in her body is going to be outside of it. The question is it okay to shove forceps into the skull of the small person who's inside of her and then tear them apart limb by limb to get them out? Or should we say, no, that's not an acceptable way of delivering a baby. You shouldn't kill that unborn child? How is that for either way it comes out of her body? Either way the child comes out of her body. It's not as if there's one scenario.
The only time I can even forced birth sounds just like a crazy phrase to me. Like I've never heard of forced birth. Okay. But the only time I could think of something being like a forced birth situation is like if it was like farming. Okay. Where you are artificially inseminating these women or just out here raping and pillaging these like women like back in the day, like the Mongolians did. Okay, and again, no shade because all Asians have a little bit of Genghis Khan blood. So again, unless it was pregnancy against her choice, how is carrying a pregnancy and having that fetus exit your body forced birth? It's forced because you decide you didn't want it and it's too late because it's not up to you anymore?
And where the pregnancy magically disappears and doesn't leave the body.
Let me add, forced birth is a nonsense politics statement.
But in your scenario, she's being forced to give birth against her will. Like she can't
She's
decide.
already pregnant, dude.
I know, but
we're not talking about forcing her to do anything. She's pregnant.
But then endorse that position.
I did.
Stick by it.
I know. I reject there's no such thing as forced birth. They're saying you can't kill that baby.
Let me tell you how fascinating this is.
Because she
the left
has the baby inside her.
is so
Yes, she does.
fervent about legalizing the killing of a baby at 9 months that I can sit here and say I think women should be able to terminate their pregnancy whenever they want. But if the baby is viable, there's no reason to kill it.
She has to be forced to give it then. She has to be forced to give birth and then give the baby up, is what you're saying.
Give birth.
She said she doesn't
Okay,
want
so that is forced birth, right?
So
she can't decide to terminate it at 8 or 9 months.
Define give birth.
You just said at 8 months if the baby is viable.
I didn't say 8 months. Define give birth. I'm trying to understand what you're saying by forced birth. What does birth mean?
You just said when she is at 8 or 9 months. Okay, so she's at 8 or 9.
I said viable.
Okay, so it's viable. The baby's viable. She should have to give birth to it in some capacity. C-section, whatever.
Define birth, and I can answer your question.
Birth, the removal of a child into the world from a mother's womb.
So how do they do that?
The woman pushes the baby out.
So then what would you call an abortion at 8 months? Is the woman pushing the baby out?
No, it's most likely a medical procedure done by a doctor.
And what is that medical procedure?
An abortion.
But what is that?
What is an abortion?
Yes, like what?
How is it done?
Yes.
I'm not entirely sure how it's done at 8 months. I know earlier on it's usually done with a series of tools. I don't know how it's done at 8 or 9 months.
Okay, so your moral argument is forced birth. I'm trying to understand what your position is. If you don't know how an abortion is done, then are you in favor of forced birth?
Am I in favor of forced? No, I'm against forced birth.
But you think that women should have to expel the baby, right?
It's completely fine for me not to know the medical procedure of how abortion is done to stand up for the rights of a woman's body. I don't need to know how people perform abortions directly. I'm not going to lie here. I'm not going to pretend.
Removing a baby from a woman's body is birth.
Oh, so you're saying it doesn't count?
No,
it's birth of a different nature.
I don't think you have a definition, and I'm trying to understand what you mean by forced birth. But if you can't define the removal of the baby in a different way, I don't know what you're saying.
Birth, Tim.
To me, I really think that to Lance, birth is expelling or removal of the baby, but the mom is happy. But the mom is okay with it. And it's not birth if the mom wasn't okay with it. It's not birth. It's a completely different term because it wasn't willingly. She didn't want it. Like, what kind of fucking crazy ape shit? Like, I'm literally losing brain cells. Like, and the fact that I have to keep rewinding, I keep losing more and more. And it's more and more respect for this man.
Like the birth of a child.
So it's a C-section of birth.
Sure. Yes, it is a form of extracting a living child that is viable to live in the real world.
That's how you define birth. Extracting a living child to live in the real world.
No, I would define birth as someone giving birth. They are pushing a baby out of their body.
So I don't think women should be forced to do that, right?
I bet you he also answers the question, what is a woman? Well, a woman is a woman who identifies as a woman. Well, what is that? What is that woman? Like Tim keeps asking him, what is birth? How do you define birth? What is expelling the fetus from your body considered birth? But for some reason, he cannot link it. Like,
you don't think women should be forced to push babies out of their body?
But the baby is in their body, so it's got to come out somehow.
So you're going to take it out with a C-section?
No, I don't know. Okay. But I'm trying to figure out what you mean by this.
So that would be forced birth. So she's forced to give and make a viable child, live in the real world.
I mean, so when you're pregnant, the baby's going to come out of you at some point.
That's the
Either
point.
we rip
no
it
matter
apart
what
or
happens,
you give birth
the baby
naturally.
is coming out of the woman, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So there's no being in favor of that or not. It happens. Period.
Yes.
Okay, so what's your point?
What's my point?
Am I in favor of a natural process by which a woman has to have a baby removed from her no matter what anyone says or does?
Your point is that at 8 or 9 months, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Tim.
You are wrong. Yes. I'll stop you
Yeah,
right there.
about so many things.
Because when you keep saying 8 or 9 months, that's not what I said over and over and over again.
Viability is after 6 months.
Viability is...
Okay, that means that there's
So as
more
soon-
than a
as soon-
50%
but
chance of
you're also
survival.
wrong. It's
There have
not
been
6
babies like
months.
So as soon as the
24
baby
It's not 6 months.
So as soon as the baby is
24 weeks.
viable, Tim, as soon as the baby is viable, then it's okay for the woman, even if she doesn't want to have it anymore for whatever reason, she should have to be forced to have it extracted from her and then live. Is that correct? Is that your position?
Well, it's not forcing the woman to have a baby live if the baby's already alive. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like semantics.
I got a compromise for you. I got a compromise for you. We'll tell the mother we killed it, but we'll sneak it off and give it to someone else. Does that work for you?
No, because I still think
Nope,
she
the
should
baby
have
has to
she should
die.
have the right to do it if she wants to. Of course.
She should kill.
No. We attempted the abortion failed, the baby survived. Is it okay that we put the baby up for adoption? Lance said no, because she has a choice what to do with her body, even though the baby is no longer inside her body. So once again, I ask, after how many months then, after a baby is born, if the mother is still going through postpartum, could she delete the baby? Once the baby is 3 months old, she's still sad. No?
Baby after
she
it's already
shouldn't.
born?
I don't want her to kill a baby. I want her to
Yes, you do.
because I want her to have the ability to choose. That's different. That is a fundamental part of
The
this.
baby's out of her body, right?
I don't want her to kill the baby. I just want her to be able to have the choice on whether or not she wants to kill the baby. Or no. I want her to be able to have the ability to kill the baby. I don't want her to, but I want her to have the ability of doing so.
It's a fundamental part of this.
The baby's out of her body, right?
Forcibly. In
No,
your
no.
scenario.
Let's say
She-
24 weeks. The woman goes to the doctor and says, "I want this baby out of me." And the
What if she says, I don't want to have this baby?
I don't want to have this baby.
Okay.
Okay. And the doctor says, "I will remove it."
Okay.
Uh-oh, the baby's alive. What do we do?
So you forced her to give birth.
No. She said, "Doctor, I'd like an abortion." He says, "You got it. Step
And so
right up."
he's lying to her.
No. He does the abortion and it fails. And
An abortion is terminating a pregnancy. So there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a trick abortion. You can't
No,
trick
they're called failed abortions.
failed abortions. Where
Yes.
doctors.
It's like, I feel like this word is probably not allowed actually, so I'm going to use the term self-delete. Okay? It's, people still say, there are many people who go through depression and throughout their life have had ideations, okay, and have probably attempted. So it's like, just because you attempted to self-delete, and the word self-delete in itself means to delete oneself, that doesn't mean that you couldn't have a failed self-delete. So in this same instance, you can have a failed abortion and have the baby live. That's literally what Tim is trying to say. Like, we tried to terminate the baby or whatever, but it lived. The child lived. Now what? And Lance wants the mother to still have complete authority on whether or not that living baby that is outside of her body gets to survive. Again, why is adoption not an option?
Like trick
right.
women into taking the babies out?
No. So when they perform the abortion, as Seamus explained, they stick metal tools into the brain, scramble it up, and rip its body parts apart,
Okay.
and then pull it out chunk by chunk.
Okay.
When the babies are smaller, sometimes they pull them out, but the babies don't die; they survive. Right. So my question is, in the instance of a failed abortion, what should be done?
A failed abortion being that the child is living. It's
Yes.
outside of the mother.
Correct.
At that point, you cannot kill that child. That would be murder.
Oh, okay.
Agreed on that point.
Right.
Yeah.
So then,
So
where
we
does the
agree it's
mother's
murder.
choice come in to kill?
Before that procedure takes place.
So
She has a choice to choose what she wants to have done with her body. If she goes to a doctor and the doctor's like, I'm going to perform an abortion, which the assumption would be that I'm about to terminate the child, but then he just secretly sneaks the child out of there, that's not performing an abortion. You're just being deceptive.
Yeah, and the doctor should go to prison if they did something like that, in my opinion.
I think you
absolutely.
should go to prison if he performed an abortion.
Snap.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Not
Opposite
surprised.
perspective.
So there's also something that none of us know, because I don't think any of us are medical doctors. The difference on the physiology of the female body giving a 9-month abortion, having that happen, or the actual birthing process, whether by C-section or natural birth. It might have vastly different consequences on the female body. So that's something to take into
Oh,
account.
so wait. Remember the Born Alive Act?
Yes.
That was a Republican position, wasn't it? What was that?
Yeah, so there have been a couple of different Born Alive acts in different years, but what they basically say is that if the abortion fails, it is not legal to kill the child.
Wasn't that Republicans were trying to pass
The
a law?
Republicans were trying to pass that. That was one of the only things Obama voted on in the Senate. He voted against it.
Obama voted against it. But you
yes.
would be in favor of that.
In favor of what?
The Born Alive Act.
I'm not completely familiar with it, so I'd have to read
If an
up on it
infant is
first.
born alive after an attempted abortion, it has the same protection of law and degree as a newborn.
Yeah, I would be okay with that because at that point it's a human. If you're killing a person that is alive outside of a womb, then that's murder, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Can I ask you,
that's
this is
good.
not a gotcha.
We agree on that. That's great.
I want to ask in good faith. So
Yeah, of course.
you believe that the moment after the child is outside of the birth canal,
Sure.
that they are now endowed with human rights.
Yes.
However, when they are inside of the mother, literally anything you do to them is acceptable because they're inside of the mother.
Oh no, I don't think anything is acceptable, but I think the mother should still have the choice, ultimate authority over what happens to her body.
But
Wait,
there's
wait,
a
wait,
child
wait,
inside of her
hold on,
body,
hold on.
and not
What
her.
about
Yes.
meth?
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services?
I guess
Child services?
DCFS would be.
Oh,
yeah.
it's her body though.
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Hold on there a minute.
Yeah, and I see where we're going.
I don't understand what you're saying. It's her body.
It's her
if
body.
She wants to do meth. What's the problem?
Well, first off, doing meth is illegal, period. Doesn't matter if you're doing it with a child or
Not,
without a
not
child.
in Oregon.
Yeah, not true.
Methylindioxy, MDMA. It's a
Maybe
type
it's
of meth.
alcohol
Wait,
then.
sorry, what?
Not
Oregon.
crystal meth.
Crystal meth
There's
is legal in
different
Oregon?
kinds
No,
of-
it's
no, not
not.
crystal.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
MDMA is a kind of meth. Methylindioxy, methamphetamine is ecstasy. That's a kind of meth. There's also crystal meth, which is not legal. MDMA is legal in some places for therapy sessions. I don't know if it's legal for
Yes,
very
it is.
pregnant women.
Okay, it is.
Is it for pregnant women? I
Oregon
don't know.
decriminalized possession in
Wow,
2021.
you were right.
But I don't know if
But
that's...
I'm just okay, dude. So like,
Decriminalizing possession is different than legalizing crystal meth. You know those two things are completely different, right?
See, like, that's the thing. It's like, when you give them an inch, they take a mile. Okay? That's the problem. We're like, but it's like, it's too far gone now, of course. Like, we can't completely turn back the hands of time. Like, there's no way that we're going to be able to, like, make all drugs, all drugs illegal now. You know, like they said, there are states like Colorado, or not Colorado. I was thinking about Mary Jane, but no, there are states like Oregon where MDMA, heroin, there are certain drugs that have been decriminalized. And now he wants to say that, oh, well, that's not legalizing it. That's semantics. That just because you're decriminalized doesn't mean that it's legalized. Well, what the hell are you doing with MDMA or ecstasy or meth on you? What are you doing with it? If you're not using it, then you're distributing it. And if we are not criminalizing it, then you are making it not a criminal offense. You are basically legalizing it. Like, oh God.
What's the question of whether you can press charges?
Hold on.
Yeah.
What?
So when you decriminalize a small amount of drugs, that means if you're caught with that drugs by a cop, that means if you're arrested, you cannot be charged for 1 gram, 2 grams, whatever
that's
that
what
is.
legalizing is.
No, this is decriminalization, not legalization. We never said
There's no such thing
legalization.
legalization is a semantic term. It doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it means
Either
that
a substance is no longer
there's no
criminal-
longer a prohibition on that product.
Okay, so if a woman does meth, she's legally allowed to have it, right?
Is she legally allowed to do it or possess it?
Both.
I mean, what's the difference?
Well, two very different things. You can be legally allowed to possess drugs and not be legally allowed to take drugs, for example.
Alcohol.
So she does alcohol.
Can a woman chug a fifth of vodka while pregnant?
Yeah, she can legally.
But do you think she has a right to do so?
I think she has a right to do. Yes, she has a right to do it. I don't agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And heroin?
It's illegal.
I don't think heroin's illegal. I think heroin actually was legalized. I
so
think it's
dumb.
controlled, but I think that one specifically was oxycodone and other drugs. So
She has a right to do it. Whether or not I agree with her doing it, that's completely different. I don't agree with a woman who would have an elective abortion at 9 months. I think that is like, why the fuck would
it's
you have done
allowed.
that? But I think she has the right to do it, right?
But do you think it's ethical that she, like...
I don't think it's
legal
ethical. No, of course not.
Because some things are made legal that are unethical, in my opinion.
True.
And should those be made illegal?
I mean, that's a very broad question, right?
Oh,
You're
no,
talking about a lot
I'm
of
sorry.
different things.
Personal use of methamphetamine is allowed. It's a civil citation, like a
Told you.
traffic ticket, not a criminal citation. So allowed maybe is hyperbolic. It is a civil citation to be caught using methamphetamine in Oregon. You get a ticket for it, but no crime.
So I just looked up the Born Alive Act, by the way. It says this bill is deliberately misleading and offensive to pregnant people and doctors and nurses who provide their care. It is another attempt by anti-abortion politicians to spread misinformation as a means.
First of all, you already know what side of the aisle wrote this article. Okay, they called it birthing people. Birthing people. First line of the article is already birthing people. So everything that comes out of his mouth from here on, just pause and think about it. Okay. Because we already know what side they're coming from.
To get a warped political end, to ban safe and legal abortion. It's an entry point to try and make abortion illegal.
Where did you read this?
Okay,
and what
no,
source is this
hold on,
from?
no. I don't care. I mean, who cares about the Born Alive Act?
He already knew where
The
it
question
came from.
was,
He was like,
if an abortion happens but the baby survives, can you kill it? And Lance already said no. So we're done with that.
So he would, yeah, for sure.
So any other political arguments, anyone left, right, or otherwise trying to change that? No, it's irrelevant. Once the baby's born, it's a baby. So
it has the same rights as every other human at that point, right?
This is
an American.
This is an interesting. I think this falls in line with the idea of anarcho-tyranny that we were talking about. My view of the modern left is that their positions are nothing but chaos. There's no logical pathway towards preserving life, improving people's lives. It seems to be only it's like yin yang, right? There's one side that's talking about long-term planning, logical thinking, and improving the world, and one side that takes the inverse position no matter what. For instance, 25 people push in front of a subway, nobody bats an eye. Three guys try to subdue a man, and now they want prison. That's like a weird inversion of what the law is supposed to do. The law should stop the people who are pushing people on the trains and protect the people on the train who are being victimized. But the left's position is the inverse of it, right?
mm-hmm.
Are you asking me for like an
he's
affirmation
so
of that? Because
dumb.
if you
He's
ask
so
me,
No, I'm just saying like that's my view.
so
And that was the end of my
when
statement.
you say the left's idea are all chaos, I mean, if you really wanted to boil down what the left is fighting for, especially myself, it's expanding freedom. I believe in freedom. I love freedom. I'm sure everyone here likes freedom too, right? You're all about freedom.
How do you define
Yeah.
freedom exactly?
So for me, I believe in a democratic process where we don't have tyrants, we don't have dictators, we don't have kings or queens. We have the ability as a democracy to be able to vote for who we work for, or sorry, who our leaders are, right? Like we want to be able to vote for our president, our prime minister. I believe in that fundamentally. But my other thing is I want to expand that freedom into the workplace because we spend about 8 hours a day every single day in our works, our jobs. I want to expand freedom there. So people who work at their jobs for 8 hours a day have the ability to vote for things in their lives, better healthcare, better working conditions, whether or not their boss is corrupt and stealing from all of them. I want to expand that. I want to expand freedom into other parts of life. That's a fundamental belief for
So
me.
what do you mean by stealing from them?
Stealing wages, for example.
Like actually shorting someone's check and
So the largest form of theft in America right now is wage theft. If you
I
look,
had it happen to me. I sued. I went to the National
good for
Labor
you.
Board and we won.
How does it happen?
as you
Okay.
should-
So I think the conversation on pro-life, pro-choice, pro-abortion, for them, basically, I think it's done now because they're switching over to socialism and unions. And yeah. So I think that this conversation was very interesting, although I think it was kind of off the rails a little bit because of the extremes that Lance was talking about. Okay. Again, whenever there are people like a lot of libertarians or centrists who are completely okay, maybe not, again, personally for them, maybe they are not going to go through with the process of getting an abortion, but they can completely understand that they cannot impose their moral values onto other people. Okay. But again, that comes with some limitation because as a society, we all agree for the most part that murder is wrong. You know, we can agree on that. You know, we can agree that incest is not the best. You know, so I think that there are so many things that we can agree on. And for areas that we cannot agree on, like this pro-life, pro-choice conversation, because there are so many people, no, like life starts at conception. And although that is true, that is typically true for people that have the Christian beliefs, you know? It's like, and for people who are a little bit more scientific, like, yes, that is technically new DNA and that is a new life form. However, at literally a day into your pregnancy where you don't know, nobody knows, you know, it's like, do we still consider that a baby? You know, it's kind of like that's a seedling, you know, we can say that that's an acorn or that's a seed, but we're not going to say, well, that's a tree, you know, it's like, but hey, that seedling is now starting to sprout. It's a little sapling. Okay. A sapling. Look into it. That's a baby tree. Okay, so now it's a tree. It's above ground. It's a fucking tree. Okay, so at what point are we going to define a baby? Because again, there are babies that are born premature at 20 weeks, 23 weeks. Are those rare instances? Absolutely. We hope that most women are able to healthily carry their babies to full term at 40 weeks. So babies that are able to literally be in the mom's womb for half the time that it takes to bake a cake, they're able to exit at 5 months and live. But for a baby who was unfortunately in a mother's body who did not want to carry it to full term, now that baby has to not live. Okay? So again, this is going to be a reach. This is going to be a stretch. This is going to be the mental gymnastics that they like to use. So I'm going to use their logic in order for my jumping, okay? But again, a lot of times people say that, or I've heard a lot of people on the left say, or I've heard a lot of progressives say that the overturning of Roe v. Wade actually has made it harder for especially women of lower economic status as well as women of color. It makes it harder for them to get abortions, correct? Okay. Well, so we know that minority of women that are getting abortions are women of color. Okay. And that doesn't mean black. That doesn't mean Hispanic. That means all women that are not white. Okay. Women of color are the primary women that are getting abortions. Okay. And if they're doing it because of financial reasons, well, then would it not be classist that we let the rich baby live on because mom and daddy can take care of that baby? But the baby who had no choice in the economic standings, that the baby that has no choice in the economic standing of its parents, now they have to die because they were born or they were conceived in the wrong body. I don't know. Again, if it's okay for you to have an abortion at 4 months, at 16 weeks, but then you're no longer able to have it at 9 months. I don't know, there's just so many instances because the time frame, although humans have some of the longest gestational period amongst mammals, I think it's still such a short time frame. You know? It's like, can you imagine talking to a mom of a newborn or of a 6-month-old and say, hey, well, you've only developed 6 months of relationship with it. You don't need it no more. Or think about moms, Chrissy Teigen, women who wanted to be pregnant, who wanted to stay pregnant, but had miscarriages, who had stillbirths. Why do those women mourn the loss of something if they don't consider it killing when we voluntarily stop and terminate that pregnancy? When it's not on purpose, it's a miscarriage and we cry about it. But when it's on purpose, it should be celebrated and allowed, despite what anybody else has to say, despite what the baby daddy or father of the child or willing people to adopt the babies. And honestly, I'm going to continue to dig for more conversations that discuss both the pro and cons of abortion and pro-life, pro-choice, all that good stuff, because Lance is so dumb, and I hope that there are others that can be a little bit more moderate and a little bit more logical in their thought process. Because again, he doesn't agree with it. He doesn't understand why women would ever do it. According to him, it never happens. But yeah, let's still make it happen. Let's still allow it to happen. I just don't get it. Okay. Because another one, he was okay with if the baby was born or the failed abortion happened, and now that the baby has exit the body, what happened if that failed abortion happened at 8 months? So now that baby, because it was lucky, it was strong, it was able to survive your failed attempted murder, I survived, so now I get the pass to go. But the other baby who's 9 months inside and mom didn't decide that she didn't want it till the last minute, you don't survive. But that's your fault. I don't know, guys. Again, I feel like I'm going to spiral out because I just don't understand Lance's perspective. I don't understand how ignorant he can be on such a topic. Like, again, I said, he doesn't even freaking know that an 8-month-old baby is, or a 8-month-old pregnancy is viable. Like, bro, like, you literally act like you've never met anyone that was born premature. Have you ever heard of the NICU, the neonatal unit, that literally specializes in taking care of little babies that were born too early? Okay? They nurse them back to health because they can survive. You don't know, but you're okay with killing them? You don't know what is viable, but you're okay with it doesn't matter if you're viable or not. Goodbye, because your mama didn't want you. Again, maybe your daddy did. Maybe your mom is going through some sort of mental issue right now because she's scared. Maybe the dad is still beside her and wants to keep the baby. Homegirl can literally just walk into a clinic, go over to Oregon and be like, yeah, let me have it. I don't want this. I don't know. Like, I do feel like if there are women, and because there are states currently that allow late-term abortions, I really do think, and I hope and I pray so much that these women get the resources, get to go to therapy, gets to get psych evaluations to make sure that they want to go through with the abortion. Because, again, I feel like sometimes women feel like that is their only option, especially if these women are really under financial stress. If they really are, like, dealing with situations outside of their control, if they were forced into having this, you know? So, like, but the thing is, like, we keep making the exceptions the rule to everybody, you know? Like, that's why I said there are states where if there are medical reasons, health reasons for mom or child, you know, like, we're good. Like, ain't nobody say we're gonna kill the freaking moms. Like stop making us choose between the mom or the child. Just stop. Bye.